your attention. You make me nervous.
Oral communication frequently asked questions. Module 1, Week 1. The first question is examples of communication. We have text communication, text as form of communication, emails, telephone conversation, and even talk or conversation between friends. So those are examples of communication. Even speeches delivered in front of people, public speaking, those are forms of, or those are examples of communication. So even what I'm doing right now, broadcasting, is a form of communication. The second question, examples of barriers of communication. Maybe I can give situations, right? So an example is when we have Google Meet or online discussion and someone interrupts or disturb you. That's one of barriers of communication, like a construction site or a telephone call, or someone who is ringing, someone with a ringing cellular phone, or someone who is talking with someone else over the phone. Those are examples of barriers of communication. We can have a physiological barrier, or the context or the setting. So like construction site. So whenever you're passing a construction site, surely you will have a disruptive or a problem when it comes to communication. You might not hear the other person. Okay, so that's one. Clarification on the functions of communication. We have 5 functions of communications, namely control or regulation, social interaction, motivation, emotional expression, and information dissemination. So the first one is control or regulation. Communication functions to control behavior. Say for example, you want to command someone, then you have to control them. Okay, like before you go, I want you to clean their room, or before you go, I want you to cook first our food, something like that. So that's control. The next one is social interaction. So communication allows individuals to interact with each other. So like conversation between friends or between faculty members. So that is a form of social interaction. Next is motivation. Communication motivates or encourages people to live better. So just like this, advice or pieces of advice would be one of the best examples of motivation. Another one is if we are going to connect this to therapeutic communication, wherein there is a healthcare personnel and a patient. So we can say that the healthcare personnel, say the psychologist, can encourage his or her patient, okay, with words of encouragement and motivation. Next one is emotional expression. Communication facilitates people's expression or their feelings and emotions. So here you are giving emotion or emotional words to someone else, say a love letter or even spoken poetry. Information dissemination. Communication functions to convey information. So in this case, you are giving information to people or a group of people. And then an example of this would be flyers or even teachers giving information. That is an example of information dissemination. The next question is, what's the difference between formal communication and informal communication? So formal communication is actually used in organizations, like when you are talking to an authority, to the president of the company, or to someone superior than you. In written communication, because we are in oral communication, in written communication, before you come up with or before you talk to the president of a company, you should always have an internal or upward communication, a letter, okay, and the content would be a formal one. wherein there's no contraction of words, no do not, no doesn't. So no don't or no doesn't, only do not and does not, things like that. So that's the formal communication. Now, if it's informal communication, you're just talking to a friend or someone on your level, okay? Or someone like an acquaintance or a friend or close relative to you. So that's the difference between the formal and informal communication. Another question that I received: what is good communication? Why is it important? Oftentimes when you say it's a good communication, it is when the speaker gives a good communication to the receiver. Say there's no barriers of communication, there's no interruption, and the message of the speaker was received clearly by the receiver. So why is it important? Because there might be misunderstanding if there is no good communication. You know, guys, Facebook Messenger is one thing that I really don't like. It is because you might not have a good communication in Facebook Messenger. It'll be very, very difficult to communicate. Like, for example, if you're going to type in all capital letters in Facebook Messenger, that means that you are angry, right? So that is misunderstanding or miscommunication. And what you can do is to just record your voices using the Facebook Messenger. Okay? So that is why oral communication is very important. If we write, there might be some problems. Okay? But if we talk, there is no problems at all. There is no problem at all. So another one, what are the different ways of communication? So you can write, actually, you can write, you can use emails, text messages, voice calls, here, Google Meet or Zoom, and many more. Okay? And also, we have the nonverbal. So, nonverbal communication, the gestures, and all. Those are different ways on how to communicate.